the Lord as the captain of the host. That's his appearance that's coming in this day. We had his presence, and which was very much the last move of the charismatic outpouring, the presence of God with the power. But if we're going to take nations for the kingdom as an end time group of believers, he's going to have to come as captain of the host. We have strongholds to take down. I think it's Luke 22 talks about, as in the days of Noah, so shall it be at the coming of the end of man. Noah had to deal with giants. As in the days of Noah, so in us. We're going to have to deal with giants. Spiritual principalities and powers that rule over regions, over centres, over nations, that will stop this harvest coming in. And so we need to know his will. We need to see the just one. We need to hear his voice. This is the way. I was looking at it. I think it's Isaiah. It was Isaiah 20 or Isaiah 30. I wrote it down on a piece of paper. It's, Isaiah 30:21. That you'll hear this small voice. This. Let me read it to you. Whenever you. How about this? Let me back this right up. Although the Lord gives you the bread of adversity and the waters of affliction, your teachers will be hidden no more. With your own eyes you will see them. Whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way, walk ye in it." And we're going through a season of adversity. We're drinking waters of affliction. There's been this whole thing, but it says your teachers will be hidden from you no more. Why? Because this is being restored. The fullness of this is being restored. I showed you a quote in one of the sessions of the school that Isaac Newton said that there will emerge a generation that will live in will literally believe this book from cover to cover and live in the goodness of it. The literal translation of this, when he says you'll do the greater works, there'll be a generation that believes you're going to do the greater works. Literally fulfilled. For him to come back, this whole book has to be fulfilled. So there will be a generation arise that believes that in the promise that we will lend to many nations. In just the literal fulfillment of it. But it's like we've gone through this bread of privation, these waters of adversity, but the teachers are coming forth now to give forth words, and you, every single one of us, will hear this voice from his mouth saying, this is the way, walk ye in it. However hard it is, however challenging it is, however much we're going to have to overcome, this is a school of the overcomers, whatever we're going to have to wrestle and overcome, we'll know it's the way because we'll have heard his voice. This is why Deuteronomy 29:4 is so critical, that we have eyes to see the righteous one and ears to hear his voice and a heart to understand what the teachers are releasing in this day. For you, and the purpose of all of that is, for you will be you will be his witness to all men of what you have seen and heard. That's a legal term. You have got to have been present to be a legal witness. You've got to have been there. If there's a car crash outside and we hear it, the judge won't call us. If you're standing on the pavement and the car wreck happens, he'll call you as a witness. Why? Because you know firsthand what the Lord said and what the Lord did. That means we've got to be partakers. We've got to be around when it happens. And 1 Corinthians 9:24 talks about us running the race to win the prize. And I never understood that growing up because I was never really good at athletics. And the idea of me running a race to win the prize was just like, why even bother going to the racetrack? It's like there'd always be people that would be greater than me. There'd always be people that would run faster. There would always be this. And I finally got it. I'd only been a Christian about 36 years when the light finally went on that the only person that can run this race is me. Now, you're probably a bit faster on the uptake than me, but it took me a while to get there. And it's like no one else can run my race but me. No one else can do it. And so I have to run the race all of the time in order to win the prize that the Lord's laid out for me, for my life. It's called destiny. It's our personal, custom-made destiny. This is why it says, take my yoke upon you, for the yoke is easy and the burden is light. Why? Because it was made just for you. It would be like going down to Singapore, flying off to Hong Kong and having a custom-made suit or a couture dress made for a ball. Why? The only person it will fit is you. It's custom-made. And that's what he's calling, what he's stirring, what he's awakening us to understand in these days, is that there is a plan and a purpose for our lives. Now, it would be wrong of me not to tell you the truth, so I'm going to tell you the truth, okay? This race is like a steeplechase. You know, like hurdles? Well, a steeplechase goes on for like 3,000 meters or 3 kilometers or 100 kilometers, and all the time you've got stuff you have to overcome. This isn't a nice 100-yard sprint. Sorry if that's your perception and no one told you when you signed up to the Christian faith. It's a marathon with hurdles and bumps in the road and stuff that we have to overcome. And you can only run a race if you've taken off everything that's excess to what you need. That's where we are. That's going to be like some of the second session today. It's us laying aside what we don't need to carry in order that we can run the race to win the prize. That's what this whole inner healing, it's what this whole transformation, restoration part of this school is about. Is we've set out the whole vision of everything that God is doing in these days, our role in the end time generation, that this is it. The buck stops with us. We are it. Short of him raising up stones. And in this whole place right now, we're going to have to lay aside everything that easily besets us, that comes in, that robs us of who we are, in order that we can run the race. But your calling and your destiny was given to you. It was placed inside you before the foundation of the world. Scripture says he knew us before the foundation of the world, which tells me this: if you are born in this generation, he chose you for this generation. No one's a mistake. You weren't born by the will of a father or the will of a mother. There's no mistakes in heaven. He knew you before he ever said, "Let there be." He knew you and chose you for this generation. A friend of ours called Bob Jones, prophet, seer, in America, had a dream several years ago now, in which he was stood in heaven by a conveyor belt that rolled through heaven, and on this conveyor belt were the souls of humanity, and there'd be like 1885, and all these souls would go past. And it's a picture. It's not literal, okay? It's a picture, and he's going through this, and there were angels stood around, and at different times an angel will go, "Oh, here's one," take a soul off and place it on the shelf, and then they go back to look, "Here's one." And after a while of watching this, he said to the Lord, "Why are these not worthy? Is there some defect in them that these aren't being born?" And the Lord said, "Oh no." He said, "They are way too radical to be born in that year. I'm saving them for the end time generation." That's us. There is something uniquely radical about us, that we've been saved for this generation. And there's been the forerunners that go on. There's got general books on the shelf. This book is full of heroes of the faith who foreran in order to give us an illustration of what this end time move will look like. I haven't got time to go through Revelation 9, but it says there that all the prayers of all the saints from all the ages are caught in a censer, will be mixed with fire off the altar and hurled back down to earth in one single end time move of fire and power, and every prayer that's ever been prayed being fulfilled on the earth.